It's Eric Backer. Thanks for watching my video again. It's 2020. It's a whole new year. It's going to be a great year. I've got lots and lots of interesting stuff that I'm going to present this year. The key thing is I'm not practicing anymore. So I've stopped seeing patients in November 2019. So 2020 is my 60th year. It's my best year yet. I'm going to do some travel, but I'm going to make lots of regular videos. I'm particularly keen on traveling to some really nice places where obviously there's longevity, people eat good food, so you won't be seeing me in Ibiza or Times Square or on the Santa Monica Pier, having a beer. I won't be there. I'd rather go to really nice places like Icaria or the Greek islands where people actually know how to live, eat good food, drink wine in the sunshine and just enjoy their time. And that's what it's all about for me this year. So I hope you come along with me on my trips. And I've got one of those GoPro things, so I'm getting old, but I'm going to give it a go. Now, lots of topics to cover. So stay with me. We're going to talk about food sensitivities. So food allergies, food reactions, food sensitivities. Lots of people get these screwed up. They get all these terms mixed up. So I'm going to explain it simply to you. I just had a look at a very interesting website. In fact, I won't mention the URL, but it's quite a large website with lots of good articles on it, but they completely stuffed up when it came to explaining food allergies, food sensitivities, food intolerances. They got everything mixed up. Many people do, right? So it's very simple. So let's just start talking about that now. We're going to be talking about food reactions, okay? So you'll find this on page 348 of Candida Crusher, okay, my book. I wrote a lot about this. And as per usual, I give people all the information, but then it's also good to explain things simply, right? So, food reactions explained. Let's talk a bit about that. As I mentioned in my book, there are three main categories how I see it from the chair I'm sitting in. Now, the chair you're sitting in may be different. I don't know, you could be a professor, or you could be a guy who digs ditches, or a lady who makes pies. I don't know who you are, but this is going to be a simple explanation. Three categories. Toxic food reactions, okay, which is one category. Psychological food reactions. And then the bottom one, the third one, I call it non-toxic food reactions. So let me explain a bit. A toxic food reaction can happen to many people. For example, if you go to Bali, or if you go to Fiji, or if you go to, I don't know, somewhere in the Bahamas, or, I had a patient that went to Puerto Rico and got very sick on vacation there. So these are toxic food reactions, and that's the first category. So how they happen is often you'll get bacteria in your tummy that don't really normally live there, and they'll be coming from, foreign places. And it's not becoming unusual for people to travel now. Air travel's becoming cheap. Has been for years. A lot of people going on cruises. So I read a good article recently on a cruise, how like so many hundreds of people got sick on the cruise with vomiting and diarrhea. Well, that's a toxic food reaction, okay? That's not a food allergy. That's not a food intolerance. That person got something in their tummy that normally isn't there, a bacteria. Now, a person who served the food may come from the country where that bacteria is quite normal, or a particular strain, so they didn't have a reaction. It happened to my brother only not long ago, who went to Australia on a trip, travelling around Australia, and had a chicken sandwich in Melbourne, got violently sick. So these are basically toxic food reactions. They can be cleared up. In fact, my sister-in-law went to Fiji and she got caught there, and I think she got a bit sick in the tummy too. So I told her to take some Saccharomyces boulardii, or SB, and also some charcoal tablets, and that fixed it up. So anyone can get them at any time. Some people get these toxic food reactions more frequently. If you're noticing that you get, these spewing and pooing bugs, it doesn't sound nice, but if it comes out both ends, or if you get very loose in the tummy, and you have been for a while since traveling, you really need a stool test, because obviously you've got something that's set up shop now in your gut that needs to get out of there, okay? So that's the first category. They're toxic food reactions. Second category are psychological or emotional-based food reactions. Now, these are not uncommon either. You need more experience to really detect these, and because I've seen patients for so long, I can generally pick it relatively quick in a person if they've got a psychological aversion to a food. All you need to do is look back in the patient's background. It could be when they were a teenager, they had maybe anorexia or bulimia, they had a food kind of disorder, and maybe now as an adult they're still worried about, getting a fat butt or getting sick. by eating a particular food. So they'll have set up this psychological reaction to a food. Now that can come through a disorder. It can also come through the psychological reaction can actually happen after the toxic food reaction. So some people get like that guy, my brother, with a chicken salad sandwich. He, in some cases, for example, that person may never want to eat a chicken salad sandwich again. They'll think, nah, I'm not going there again. I'm not going to spew again. Had enough of that. So they'll avoid that food. My father had this. In fact, in my book, it was, unfortunately, a mistake was made. It said that my brother had it, but my father, when I was a teenager, I don't know, young people watching this won't relate to it, but fondue, a fondue pot, a hot pot of oil where you put food in, cook it, and then put it on your plate and then eat it. Well, my dad took a mushroom straight out of a hot pot and put it straight in his mouth, and it burnt the inside of his mouth. And I can remember for many years after, he would literally dry reach. If someone put mushrooms on his plate, he would gag. Psychological food reaction. Okay, so first one's a toxic reaction, second one's psychological, and the third category is what you guys are probably thinking of. Okay, these are the non-toxic food reactions. Right? Allergies don't involve toxicity so much. They involve often the production of histamine. So you'll have an antibody, IgE. Okay, it will hop onto a food and hang on to that. And even when that food's gone, there'll be a memory of that food still on IgE, okay, basically cells floating around the body. But on the other side of the antibody, there's a little bag containing stuff called histamine. So whenever that food comes back in that person's diet again, and it recognizes that key and lock fit with that food, because the memory's pattern's still there, it will release that histamine. And that can create itching, redness, stuff at the upper palate. You feel you want to get a brush in there and scrub your mouth, or tingling lips or burning lips. I get that occasionally with kiwi fruit. If I eat kiwi fruit, especially if I eat more than 2 in one day, my lips will feel all funny, all really weird. So I don't eat that much kiwi. It's the only fruit I have some issues with. So if we look at the non-toxic food reactions, we can split them into 2. We can look more at the food allergy. Now, when we hear the word allergy, we think usually of a type 1 response or IgE mediated. Why? Because it's quick. Okay, it's like a bee sting. I got stung in the yard the other day again. I get stung regularly because, as you know, I keep bees. So I get stung on the ear, and I don't really feel bee stings much anymore because I've probably had at least 2 or 3 dozen since our summer season started. Because I don't wear gloves much around the bees much anymore. So you get the occasional sting, but you brush it off. So when an average person's body gets subjected to a lot of venom over time like that, slowly the tolerance builds and they don't feel so much anymore. Same can't be said with some foods, however. So how do you distinguish between an allergy, okay, which generally people infer is an IgE or type 1 response, and an intolerance, which from where I'm sitting is a non-immune mediated, right? Because many people get the term food allergy and food intolerance mixed up. Some people say food sensitivity is an IgG or a delayed pathway, it's still immune, and some people say that the allergy is a type 1 response or IgE. Wrong. Anything that involves the immune system and food is an allergy. I don't care what people say, it's an allergic response, regardless of the antibody. Even if it's an IgG4 antibody or an IgE, it's still an allergy. So in my mind, it's an allergic response. So food allergies and food intolerances are both non-toxic. They're in the third group, so don't get confused. Okay? But the allergies involve antibodies and an immune response, whether it's immediate or delayed. The intolerances generally will be something like a chemical, a lack of a digestive enzyme, okay, or something more rare, something unusual, which, and remember, common things happen to people commonly. Well, that's common sense, really, is it? So most people that I see fall into the allergic kind of response or the intolerant response, but a far majority are in the intolerance rather than the allergy. Many people believe they got an allergy when in fact they lack a digestive enzyme. Many people think they got an allergy when in fact it could be a particular thing like tartrazine or benzoic acid, like a preservative in that food that could be causing them the intolerability of that food, but they don't know it. And this is where experience counts, people. All right, so in this series of videos, I'm going to try and explain to you different concepts that I've learned over the years in terms of allergies and intolerances So you better be able to go forward and knowing how to navigate your way through a lot of this BS online. There's so much crap online regarding intolerances and allergies. Everyone's got their own 5 cents worth, but a lot of it is just not really, in my opinion, the right kind of information. Okay, because it's all like a washing machine. Everyone's just thrown everything on Google and just given them a darn good, mixed it all up, right? But that's not how it is. So this video is just to explain, hello, I'm back. I'm back. And also I'm going to talk in this series about allergies and intolerances and give you a lot of information, little tips and tricks I've picked up over the years from patients, and ways to show you how to avoid a lot of the crap that many people go through. Okay, it's pretty basic, isn't it? But I'm pleased to be back. 2020 is a whole new year. No more patients, but lots of education. New product development definitely coming out this year, and also travel, as I said. But the travel will also be, pleasure for me, but also profit for you guys, because you're going to learn different things that I'm keen to learn about myself, that I've read in books. But now I'm going to go out and meet some patients that I've sort of, now known around the world, and hopefully put a spotlight on a few people's lifestyles, crazy eating styles and things like that, and present that for 2020. So thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned because we're going into the series now on intolerances and allergies. Thank you for watching as per usual.